hear me? Yes. My name is Dan Riley, and I'm one of the high school counselors, and on behalf of the entire counseling staff, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Next Step presentation. I just want to take a minute to introduce you to a couple of my colleagues that will be presenting as well. Down front, we have Lauren DiGianni, one of the high school counselors at East. And way up high in the booth, we have Gretchen Lynch, and she'll be down in a little while, and she'll be presenting as well. We do ask that you hold your questions until the end. We've been doing this presentation over the last several years, and we know people have a lot of questions, and it's really disruptive to the program for questions in the middle of it. And we know everyone has good questions, so we have allotted about 30 minutes after the program ends to answer any questions that you have. I do want to mention that the Counseling Center does have a Facebook page. I think probably you have some handouts. And we have a lot of articles on there that deal with the teenage brain, how to have an effective college visit, choosing college majors, NCAA recruiting student athletes. So if articles like that seem like something that you'd be interested in, we hope that you consider following our page. Can I see with a show of hands how many parents of 11th graders are here tonight? What about 10th graders? Do we have any parents of 10th graders? Are there any freshman parents? A couple, okay. So we have a cartoon that we like to put up, and I'll let you look at that for a second. We put that up for two reasons. First, because we think it's funny, and second of all, because we know some people feel this way, and we hope that if this is how you're feeling, that after tonight, that's no longer the case. The spring of the junior year, as counselors, I can tell you, I speak for all the counselors in the department, is really probably the most interesting part of our job because we get to meet with 11th graders and we get to hear all of their plans, their goals, and it's really fascinating to watch the process evolve, especially where they're at right now and where they'll be a year from now. And the college search process is a very natural progression. It's really not something you can force kids to go through faster than they're able to. And we want you to know that it's not a race. And I know sometimes people feel like that. They have to hurry up and get all these things done, but it's really not a race. And there are over 4,000 colleges in the United States. And I think one of the most important things, if you could take away from this presentation tonight, is that this whole process is really not about finding the perfect college. It's really about finding a college that's a good fit. And you need to remember that there are many good colleges that would be a good fit for everyone. I want to say a few words about balance. We have a picture of a woman in perfect balance. At High School East, especially, we've noticed over the last, I would say the last 6 years, but especially the last 3 or 4, we have an awful lot of students, 11th graders in particular, that are extremely stressed. We even have sophomores now going through the same thing. And basically, they've loaded up on AP classes and honors classes. Some of them tell us that they stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock on a pretty regular basis. And they're feeling very overwhelmed. And that's really a recipe for disaster. And we do see that happening a lot. We also have 11th graders that tell us quite frequently that the activities that they're doing and the clubs they belong to, they're not really interested in them, but they join them because they thought it would look good to a college admissions professional. And we're not saying that every student is doing that, but there's enough students that are stressed out and doing things like that it's really gotten our attention over the last few years, and we've had to put a lot of effort into that. And we just want you to know that colleges are really looking for students to have a few meaningful activities, clubs and activities that they really are interested in. Because if they're really interested in it, then there's more of a likelihood that maybe they'll get more involved or have a leadership position. And it also shows them that they don't need to spread themselves too thin. Colleges are really looking for intellectual curiosity and depth of study. They don't want kids joining dozens of activities and just listing them on the resume when they apply to college. We're going to talk about Naviance quite a bit tonight because Naviance has an important role in the college search process. So Naviance I'm sure everyone's heard of it by now, but it's a very powerful web-based program, and it allows our office to do all kinds of things. First and foremost, it allows us to send documents electronically. And by documents, I mean it allows us to send their transcript, their teacher letter recommendation, and their counselor letter recommendation. Those are all able to go now electronically, and we're able to sync those up with the student's own online application. They sync up, and the college receives that together. Naviance is also used to build a resume. Students can do a personality assessment. They can do an interest inventory. They can do a college search. And we're going to show you some of those things this evening when we go live. We were supposed to start meeting with 11th graders on Tuesday. We have about 740 11th graders. Our plan was to see them all on a third of them on Tuesday, Wednesday, and finish up today. So that got derailed a little bit. So we started today. We'll be meeting with another third tomorrow, and then we'll be finishing up on Monday. But we are meeting with them in the computer labs. We did that all day today. And we're doing a whole bunch of things. We are showing them how to do a college search. We're talking and showing them how they register for the SAT, ACT. We're talking about how they get a teacher recommendation and really explaining how the college search process flows and what they can expect this spring, this summer, and into the fall. One of the things that we also did today and we'll be doing is we're handing every student a copy of what we call the next step. And this is a really important document because it contains everything, I would bet almost everything that you can think of as far as a question is answered in here. And it's really helpful. So it's helpful for juniors, but even through the end of the senior year. So if you don't see this, I would say by next week, then ask them for it. And if they lose it, it is located on the Counseling, College, and Career Center website as a PDF. April 1st, which is very shortly, we're going to be meeting, counselors are going to be meeting with their 11th graders in a one-on-one meeting. And during that meeting, we go over all kinds of things. We call up their Naviance account. We do make sure that they're doing the things they should be doing, and if they aren't, we tell them they need to. We write things down for them. We go over SATs. We really individualize the meetings. And we have those one-on-one because we know everybody's at a different place and everyone has different goals. So we're going to go to Naviance Live right now. Gretchen has it up on the screen. In case you're not familiar how to get there, you basically start off with a ShenNet webpage and High School Counseling Center Family Connection. And that's listed on page 2 of the next step, how you get to Naviance. Parents don't have a separate Naviance account. You just need to get your child's Naviance email, the email that they use in the password. And if your child forgets it at any time, we can reset that. That's really easy to do. It only takes 30 seconds. On the left side of Naviance, way on the left side, you'll see all kinds of links. So you can get to just about anything from Naviance. If you want to register for the SAT, that's College Board. There's a direct link right there. You can register for the ACT. Eventually, you guys, not that much longer, will be filing the FAFSA. There's a link to the FAFSA, NCAA, SAT prep. On the right side, you'll see we have a place where we call it the document library, and that's where we put important documents. So we put things there like your senior year, if you want to send your first quarter grades, those don't automatically go. You request them through the document library. If you want to send an athletic coach a copy of your transcript, you request it through the document library. So any forms that they might need, if you lose this, it's on the document library. The other thing that we have on the home page, on the right side, we send messages to students. And this is about the time of the year where we start sending those messages. And so they should be checking that periodically as well. So you see formatting tabs on top. Lauren's going to be into the college tab pretty soon. I just want to go into the About Me. There are a couple of things that students need to do. They need to have done, we asked for them to have it done by June 30th. One of those is a junior autobiography. And this is this is a blank one. And this basically is only for the counselor to see. Teachers don't see this. So this is your child's opportunity to tell us all the things that he or she has been doing since 9th grade. We would want to know if they've been doing things since elementary school, if it's something they kept up. Maybe they've been playing piano since they were 7, or taekwondo, or something like that. But otherwise, we're really looking for high school activities. And we're looking for everything. We really want to know what their future goals, if they have any, what their future plans are. We want to know if they have artistic or musical accomplishments or achievements. Do they play an instrument? Do they play a sport? We want to know if they have hobbies. Do they have a part-time job? It's very important. We want to know if they babysit for younger siblings. Do they take care of grandparents? Those are all things that are important. And we have access as counselors to all their grades. We have their SAT, ACT scores. We have all their courses. But we don't know all the things they've been doing outside of school or after school. All of us have about 300 students as a caseload. So we all have almost 100 11th graders each. And there's no way we would know all those things. And they're really important. So the transcript, the junior autobiography is critical. And another thing I just want to mention, because a lot of times we don't get parents doing this, but it's really helpful, on the last page of the next step is a parent brag sheet. And we look at that. So if you could fill that out, because a lot of times that's a different look, or has a different feel. A lot of times students leave important things out. And as parents, you know what those really important things are, and you can get those down on paper. So we look at the parent brag sheet as well when we're writing the recommendation. The other thing I want to mention is a resume. Resumes are required for any 11th grader who's applying to a 4-year college, and really for a couple of reasons. One is because the teacher or teachers who are ever writing their recommendation, they're going to have access to your child's resume. For the most part, teachers are writing about how your child is or was as a student in the classroom. But there are plenty of teachers that like to pull a few things from the outside. So they'll take a look at the resume. The other reason you need a resume is because many scholarships will ask for a copy of that. So their senior year is when most of the scholarships become available. And oftentimes it will say that they would like a copy of the resume. So it's a really good idea to keep up on that. It's really hard every year. Sometimes we have seniors who haven't done that. And then all of a sudden they're in 12th grade, it's October or November, and they're trying to remember all the things they did in 9th grade and 10th grade. So if they could keep up on that, that's a really good idea. And I would say if they could do it now, and then maybe even at the end of the summer, that would be great. I do want to talk about teacher recommendations. Not every 4-year college requires a teacher recommendation, but almost all of them do. And typically it's one. Usually a college needs one. And once in a while a college will need 2. What we ask, and we do this during the Naviance program, we're doing that, and when we meet with your child individually, we'll explain that again, reiterate that I should say, that this is the time of the year where they should be approaching a teacher. We have teachers at Shen that get asked an awful lot, so they have cutoffs. Some teachers only do 15, some do 20, 25. But there are teachers that get asked by dozens and dozens of students, and it takes a long time to write a letter recommendation. So our suggestion is that if they already know somebody who they really connected with and they would like to ask for a letter recommendation, that they approach that teacher this spring. And we ask that they do that in a face-to-face meeting. They shouldn't be emailing their teacher and asking. And if it's a teacher they had last year, they can come to our office to find out where that teacher is if they don't know. But they should have a face-to-face meeting. And we say secure the recommendation. That just means to confirm that they'll be doing your child's recommendation. And then, if they come back to school in September, and then all of a sudden there's a school that needs 2, there's still plenty of time in September, even early October, to ask a second teacher. And then a lot of times it's really good, if you can, to find a teacher that maybe has a different perspective about your child. Before Lauren begins, I just want to say one last thing, and it's about the college application process. Please, and this is from all the high school counselors, please do not do your child's college application. Please don't do their junior autobiography, and please don't do their resume. Your job is to do the parent brag sheet. Their job is to do the college application. And they're more than capable of that. They're getting the training now. You're not going to get the training that they're getting, but they're going to have the training. They know how to do these things. And it really sends them a message when a parent takes over the process. It makes them feel that they're really not capable, and they allow that to happen, and it really deprives them of a really important role. And we do see that happening enough that we feel that we have to mention that, because a lot of times we'll have kids in our office and they don't even know how 2 colleges got listed on their account that they're applying to. And it does become a problem when students don't know how to navigate the system. And we do understand completely, and I'm a parent too, and I understand that some kids are really great at organization. They take care of everything, and they're good with that. And we know that it's difficult for some students. We know that some students have challenges with organization. They're scattered, they forget things. Our recommendation is, if you have a student like that, just don't take over the process. You can do it with them, sit down with them, but let them do the application. Make sure that they know their own passcodes and that they can get on. And when you do that, it helps, because when they go to college, the freshman year, kids don't all of a sudden know how to take care of things like that. It doesn't just happen. They need practice doing it. And this is probably one of the few things that they can do that really matter to them all on their own, that can make a difference. And it really fosters a sense of independence and autonomy, which is really important in college. So we just ask that you allow them that opportunity. So Lauren now is going to get into the college component and show you a lot of different things.
Hi everybody. So before I get into exactly what we showed the students starting today, I just want to say that, it's a very exciting process. I know as a counselor, this is one of my favorite parts of the year, just like Jan was saying, and we are definitely here to help. We'll be meeting with your students individually, but anytime that you want to reach out to us by phone, email, really just let us know, because we're happy to do it, okay? So today we started and we did an advanced college search with the students. And I just want to show you kind of what that looks like on Naviance Live and kind of point out a couple of highlights so that you can use the program to the best of your ability to really get the most out of it. So if you click on the Colleges tab, on the upper left-hand corner, you can see that it says Search for Colleges. There's an open box. So let's say that your neighbor just went to visit University of Maryland, or your cousin is going to a certain school, or you want to show your children where you went to college. You can always just plug in any particular school and get a wealth of information on that. But what I'd like to really hone in on today is show you how to do an advanced search. So the advanced search is going to be used for a couple of things. It's going to give you a lot of information about a lot of schools, but it's also going to help you hone your list individually so that your priorities and your children's priorities for a particular college, or colleges really, will be here. So you can see across the top there's a bunch of different blue tabs. There's type of school, location, students, admission, athletics, majors, costs, and special programs. And so I just kind of want to go through a couple of these. Everyone's search is going to look a little bit different. And I'm going to keep my search a little bit on the open-ended range. And I would suggest that you do that too, because you can always narrow it down later. Okay? So for type of school, I'm going to look at a 4-year school for today. I'm not going to worry about whether it's public or private. A lot of these things I'm just going to keep kind of open-ended. For location, there's a couple of different ways that you can search for location. You can either pick a particular state, let's say you just want to stay in New York State. You can pick several states or even just a region. But for today, what I'm going to do is do a select range, and I'm going to go about 3 hours away from here in Clifton Park. So about 180 miles. This way, I don't have to worry about whether it's New York or not. I'm just going to be in kind of that 3-hour radius. And we find that most of our students, for the most part, do stay in the 3-4 hour range. The next thing I'm going to show you, if you click on admission, this is where you can hone in if you want to specify how competitive a school is. So obviously, if a school is accepting less than 25%, it's very, very competitive. A very less competitive school would be those accepting 75 to 100%. I would like to keep it a little bit open-minded right now, just because it's open-ended, because I want to be able to kind of see the cross-reference of the schools. Okay. If your son or daughter likes to play a particular sport, you can choose that sport. You can choose also what division as well. I'm going to leave that blank for now. If you click on majors, you can search a couple of different ways. For today, just to show you an example, I want to search for physical therapy. school. So if you type in physical therapy and you click go, it'll come up with a bunch of different options here. You just want to make sure that you click on the actual major that you're interested in and click add selected. There's also cost and special programs that you can go into as well. But for now, I'm just going to keep it, like I said, open-ended so I can see my options. So if you click show matches, it's going to come up with 29 schools. And just to review, that's schools, within the 3-hour range that offer physical therapy as a major. And 29 schools pop up. Now from here, with these 29 schools, I can kind of get even more specific. There's a couple of different options. So we didn't think about like size of school yet, so I'm going to compare these schools based on their enrollment numbers. I'm also going to compare for their average SAT verbal score and average SAT math score. This is just going to be able to show me, of my list of schools that came up, more details about it. If you see an NA up there for SAT scores at any point, there are schools that are test optional. And there's actually a website called fairtest.org that shares with you the number of colleges that don't require the SAT or ACTs. It's optional. So they might require it for some programs, but not others. Other schools just philosophically don't believe in asking for standardized test scores. So that is an option out there. So you can see the enrollment kind of varies. You can have a school as small as 344 students all the way up to, I think 25,000 is the biggest right here. So I'm going to show you one school in particular because I want you to be able to see all the details. I'm going to click on Ithaca. It's got about 6,000 students. And for every college, it's going to come up with a very similar outline. And I just want to highlight for you what you'll see here. There's going to be a link to the direct college right on top to their website. There's going to be a slideshow of pictures. If you scroll down, you'll see there's going to be the average net price is going to pop up pretty right in front of you, and financials is very important, but I do want to make you aware. The program defaults to the income of 0 to 30,000, so you'll want to adjust that for your family because it's going to, make the price greatly different. Okay. You can see there's some headings on top. If you click on studies, that's going to be all of the different majors and programs that the school offers at the different levels. If you click on student life, you're going to see more of like that statistical data. If you click on admissions, this is probably the most important tab for everybody. It's going to show you, based on Shenendehowa students that have applied in the past, we kind of gathered all the data, and it's going to show you, based on a student's GPA and SAT or ACT scores, it's going to show you how they fared in the admissions process. So again, this is Shen students that have applied to Ithaca College, and this is sort of the scatter plot. All of the little green squares, those are students that were accepted. The blue diamonds were students that were waitlisted, and then the red X's are denied. And now you might see some discrepancies where, a student may have been accepted and denied with the same exact SAT or ACT score. And that's where just all those other factors come into play that I'll talk a little bit more in a little bit. Every school is going to be looking for a particular, instrument, let's say a tuba player, okay? Maybe another school is very, very competitive for their business program, but not as competitive for maybe anthropology or biology or something else. So every school for every single different year is going to have different factors, so that can come into play as well. Where it says comparing your weighted GPA with the SAT score, it defaults to a 1600 scale, and so you can adjust this based on whether your son or daughter did sit for the 2400 scale with the essay or the ACT as well. And it'll just affect the scatter plot that way. Another thing I want to point out is the costs. So you can see what percent of students are receiving different types of aid. You can see the average price, but you do want to adjust that. Just want to point that out. Okay. Let's say we're looking at this college and we like what we see. We can click on that little part above, And that's actually going to save that college for me or for your student in their list. The list is called Colleges That I'm Thinking About. So if we go into the colleges I'm thinking about list, and I have some other colleges listed here already too. What I love about this tab as a parent, and I know a lot of the students like it too, puts all the information that they'll need from now until senior year all on one page. So it has a list of the schools that you're interested in. It has the delivery type, meaning how they accept their applications. It has all of their application deadline dates. There's a little envelope up there where you can hover over and actually just send a direct email to an admissions representative for each particular school. There's the graph, which I just showed you is the scatter plot for that school. And then there's the direct link to each college's website. So what's nice about this is it's all right here in one place. We'll be going over application deadlines in more detail soon, but I just kind of want to point out some schools are going to have early deadlines, some schools won't. Just because they have it doesn't mean you have to use that deadline, really whatever's best for you. And that's something that you'll really think about next September. But it's really nice to have that out there right now, because we just want to chunk out all the things that you have to do and that your children have to do so that it doesn't become everything at once in September. I want to point out one other thing on the left-hand side. It's one of the features I really like. Sorry, yes, you're right, Gretchen. If you click on Compare Me, this is going to compare what my average GPA, which is up there, Gretchen's is up there, it's a 92.4, and it's got my average SAT score as well. And it compares me to all of the schools that I have on my Thinking About list. So all the green schools would be what's considered a safety or a likely school, schools that are right in my range for academic purposes, and the reds would be a reach school. So you can see the differences. All the way on the far right, it'll tell you the accepted statistics. So, for Georgetown University, out of 44 students that applied, 5 were accepted. Just to give you an idea. On the left-hand side, if you click on college maps, Naviance kind of used the resources from counselors all across the country that use Naviance, and they created these lists to help you kind of narrow down. So let's say, for example, you're looking for a 7- and 8-year medical program. If you click on that, it'll kind of tell you all across the country all of those programs. There's also one for SAT optional schools. There's one for like a 5-year MBA program as well. So it's just a nice little hidden gem, I guess. So again, everyone's search is going to look a little bit different. And at any time, if you do, a huge list, and let's say 250 schools, come out, you can always make it more detailed, filter it even more to get a more concise list. What's nice about meeting with your students individually, we'll pull up their Naviance account, we'll go over their list with them. If they have no colleges listed there, we'll definitely add some. But if they have so many listed and they seem to be a little bit, stressed about that, we can always help kind of, tailor it down. Okay. So now that we did the advanced search, I just kind of want to bring us all back. There's going to be different priorities for everybody. They should be, talked about as a family. It's a big deal. It's a big investment. It's the next 4 years of your child's life. And as parents, we all want them to be in the best place for them. So there's a lot of things that go into, like what Jan was saying about finding colleges that are a good fit. So some of these things would be academic fit. Your college or your student's transcript is going to be a college's way to actually look to see how they've grown over the past 3 years. And it could be a student who struggled a little bit in 9th grade, but gradually every year improved, and that's going to look great for a college. Okay. Also with academic fit, you just want to keep in mind that there's so many different colleges out there, and the reason why you want to find a school that's a good academic fit is because then your child's going to be more comfortable there and more successful there. So it's kind of a win-win situation. Financial fit's really important. I think it's so important to be realistic about these conversations. You can have a bunch of wonderful, lovely schools on your list, but they could be really, really expensive. And so if it, push comes to shove and it's not in the cards, it's kind of hard at the last minute to kind of back out on all those schools. So it's just one of those things you want to be realistic about and sit down and talk about as a family. Location and size, geographically where you want to be, but also size-wise, if it's a very, very small school or a large school. Some people feel like they went to Shen, they can handle anything, and others feel like they've come from a big school, they want to try something different. What is wonderful is that in our area there are 13 different colleges, within about a half-hour range, which is great. There's 3 community colleges, there's plenty of private schools, there's even one of the larger state universities. So even without leaving the capital region, you can go and do a couple of different searches, figure out what might be best for your child, and then you can always branch out. So for example, if you go and visit Siena and your child loves it, but it's too close to home, which we hear a lot, they could always check out schools that are very similar, like Lemoyne, for example, in Syracuse, because it's very comparable. Of course, major and program. Not all students are going to know their major. A lot of students who do will probably switch at some point, maybe, but it's definitely worth checking out. Extracurricular activities, schools that have a particular sport that your child might be interested in. So all of these things kind of go into what is going to be within your priorities as a family when you're looking at colleges. The next slide is going to talk about what colleges are looking for from your child. So of course, academically, your student's GPA and strength of high school courses, they want it to be appropriate. So students who are really, really heavy on honors and AP courses, but the GPA doesn't kind of match up, you really want it to balance, okay? So just as long as your children are challenging themselves, that's what's most important. SAT and ACT score ranges for those schools that are, looking at standardized test scores, most schools are, but not all. And then there's all these other factors that schools are going to look at. Letters of recommendation, the college essay, which we'll talk about more in a little bit, extracurricular activities, the college interview. Not all colleges offer an interview, but if they do offer an interview, we would definitely recommend it. I think it's a great opportunity. And actually in that next step booklet, what we've done is we compiled a whole list of interview questions that are typical for colleges to ask students, but also recommended questions that students can ask admissions representatives. So that's a really helpful tool if you're going to be going on a college interview. Personality characteristics, specifically leadership, independence, demonstrated concern for others, things like that. And the last one is really important too, it's demonstrated interest. That means going to visit colleges, overnight visits that some schools offer, open houses. A lot of schools will have very specific open houses for a particular major. And what's nice about this is, college is a business, and they're really, really looking to see who's very interested in their school. It's hard for them to see that if you're just kind of behind the scenes looking online at the school. But if you go for a visit, if your child talks to an admissions rep at a college fair, if they go on an overnight visit, this is all telling the school that you're very, very interested. And a lot of schools give what's called interest points. So they will take all of that into consideration. So we definitely recommend keeping that into consideration too. When we talk about creating a list of schools, we just want to have a broad sense of that list. So you can have, 20 schools on that list, you can have 6. But as long as you have a majority of those schools as a safety or likely school, you're going to be in good shape. And when we talk about a safety school, we just want to make sure that it's going to be a school that your child is happy with. So I know when I sit with my students, I always make sure, yes, Hudson Valley is a safety school, but are you going to be okay going there? So I just want to make sure. And it is a wonderful option for a lot of students, especially if they don't know where to go or where they want to go, what they want to be when they grow up, and it also saves a lot of money. Reach schools. A reach school would be a school that's going to be asking for their average prospective students to have a GPA that is higher than yours. So you just don't want to have, your child's list filled with all reach schools, and we'll help with them with that through the process too. We just want it to be a good balance, okay? this one. So, just to sum up before Ms. Lynch comes up to talk about her part, just want to let you know we're all here to help you. Again, we love this part of our jobs, and we've been telling the kids over and over again, as long as you kind of follow the planning calendar and do little by little what we're telling you to do, you won't be stressed at the end. And hopefully if they're not stressed, then you're not stressed either. Pass things on to Ms. Lynch.
Give it over. Okay. Can you hear me okay? SAT and ACT, we wanted to get a little bit more specific information for you. Many of our questions that we've had, even at the end of our programs, have geared towards SAT and ACT. We want to be very, have parents be very aware. Students are recommended, if they are applying to at least one four-year school in the fall, to please take one round of the SAT and the ACT. It's offered here in May for the SAT and June for the ACT. I'm going to show you in a second, they have a little bit different flavor in each test. The college will take the highest score. We have a conversion table. It's actually also in the document library, where students can kind of compare. So when they're spending your hard-earned dollars in the fall, sending those scores out, you can see which one is higher. There are test optional schools, as both Jan and Lauren mentioned. So some students who are, they're excellent students whose test taking may or may not be their forte. There are local schools, Union and Sage and Marist and Ithaca, that are all test optional, and we can talk to your son or daughter about those as well. If your son or daughter has 150% sure that they are going to attend a community college first, SATs and ACTs are not required. If they then go on to the four-year school, they're still not required. So they do not have to use $65 of your hard-earned money and 3 hours of a life that they cannot return, because it is not part of the application. So if they are definitely going to attend a community college, as Lauren said, it is an awesome option. It certainly gives a student an opportunity to explore majors at a very affordable rate. We have a lot of students now attending Hudson Valley and going on to Siena and RPI and saving a lot of money. As we showed you on our Naviance account, there are preps free, our favorite word, for both SAT and ACT, Khan Academy and Naviance Test Prep, so your students can go on and do a little bit of prepping for both of them. As they sign up for them, please do it soon, because those deadline dates are far in advance of the actual test, which is about 6 weeks. They are given an option of 4 free sends. Now, a lot of you sit in the audience saying, well, I don't know where they're going to apply yet. Well, you can just pick 4 schools. If you think they're going to apply there, it's saving you $12 or whatever ahead of time. If they never apply to that college, it's no big deal. It just sits in CyberWorld. If they take it again in the fall, and they say send scores to the same college, the college will get both sets, and they can take the highest row and highest math. So while you're on there, if you want to use that option, we just want to let you know it was there. A little bit different, and a lot of our kids who are really good in math and science may score better on the ACT because it does have a science section. Last year, a good bulk of our kids scored better, but it just depends on the test day. That's why students take it multiple times. Maybe they felt better on one test day than the other. So a little bit different flavor. The SAT both have a writing section. We encourage both SAT and ACT, when you register, to take the writing section when you register for both exams. Okay? Again, May 6th and June 10th here at Shen. Registration's coming up pretty soon. Okay. Subject tests. On Naviance, or you can call or email your counselor, we can let you know. It's on everybody's website. There are not a lot of colleges that require subject tests. It's the more selective schools. Sometimes the school will say, we'll accept 2 subject tests or the ACT with writing. So if you've already taken the ACT with writing, you don't have to take the SAT subject test. They are 1-hour tests. Again, for the more selective schools, you have to be very careful to look at each college's website, because some schools say, If you're going to be an X major, that you take one in math and one of choice. It depends on the school. Some schools like Cornell will require it for just some programs, not for general admissions. So we do encourage you to jump online. If you have any questions, let us know. I would say that students shouldn't take more than 2 exams on a given day. By the 3rd exam, they are spent. And also, normally kids will take them, if your kids, most of your juniors are in chemistry right now. If they're very interested in a program or a college that requires an SAT, they will probably take the SAT math and probably chemistry because they just finished the program. If they're in physics, maybe physics now if they're accelerated. So usually as they complete the course of study. Some students have taken the biology kind of early in their career. Just so you know, you only send what you want of your SAT 2s. So if it is a selective school and they're asking for 2 and you took 2 on one date and 2 on another date, you want to take your highest 2, you tell College Board when you go to put your money in again, which exact tests you wish to send to that particular school. Okay? All SATs, ACTs, subject tests, all of those, the students will be instructed in the fall that they have to send directly from the testing agency to the colleges that require them for admissions. Okay? They are not on a transcript or anything here. Okay? Financial fit. This is where parents probably came tonight for. You wish I could show you the money. Here's the deal. For financial fit, you really just need to have an honest conversation with your son or daughter and sit down. Can a college that's a private college come through with a package that is equal to a SUNY school? Sure. You can sit with financial aid representatives ahead of time. You can use the information you saw on Naviance. You can go to websites, and they each, by federal law, must have what they call a net price calculator. So you can gather that information ahead. Certainly, kids are going to apply to schools in the fall. Parents are not going to get that financial information oftentimes until April 1st, and then the kids will make their deposits and send it out April. So there's a little gap of time. So don't hesitate. I try to tell the kids, I think sometimes we feel like, oh, I just called that school yesterday. Well, call them again today. Guess what? You're going to be spending the money. You're going to be footing the bill. If you feel like you want to sit down, especially when I talk about decision types and meet with a financial rep, please do so. It is, you know, you guys are the one that's buying the 4-year package or 2-year package. Don't hesitate to sit down with a financial rep. On June 6th at 6:30, the high school West Auditorium. We'll send out lots of blasts about that. We will have a financial aid evening. It is in June now, as parents can file the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA form now in October, using prior taxes, so everybody's taxes will be done, tax return. So please join us for the financial aid evening. You'll also get information about some of the additional financial aid paperwork that might be required. We'll talk to students about a profile. College may ask for specific information. You'll get all of that on the June 6th. Another question that parents often ask is scholarships. Certainly, any scholarship that comes to our office, we send up to the kids via a newsletter. We post those also on our website. Students also may be eligible for scholarships at their own college just by applying. I applied to Siena, and I have a 90 average and a 1,200 on my SATs, and for that branch, they give you money. That's directly through the college. There's really 3 ways that your kids are going to get scholarships. Through the college, through something we alerted them to, or a search. And in that beautiful brochure, because I helped put it together, in this beautiful brochure, there are financial aid websites. College Board has a scholarship search, findaid.org. All of those are listed in the brochure. So if you want to go in, if your work has a scholarship, all kids have to do is bring it to our office. They'll fill out a paper letting us know what they need from us, and we'll send it out for them. Okay? Most of our scholarships come heavy in spring of senior year. That's when we seem to get the most running through our office locally. Just a note, if your son or daughter is interested in participating in Division II or Division I athletics, Please have them make sure their counselor knows, make sure that they have what they call core courses to be eligible, and then they will register on NCAA. Again, the link is on the homepage of Naviance. They will register at the NCAA website, and we will automatically, with that registration, send the appropriate transcripts. One is after junior year, and one is when they finish after senior year. One of the things we talked a lot to your juniors, or will, thanks to snow days, is about social media. Is about the fact that, we all know this in jobs, that people can see and may look at your social media, to make sure to have an appropriate email address, to make sure that they, when they leave a phone number with an admissions representative, that they've set up their mailbox, that their mailbox is not full. You want to have as good a presentation as possible to that admissions representative. Making sure that you do not use your Shen Schools account. We have, kids are given an account through the school. Please make sure your son or daughter, when they're registering for SATs or ACTs or the college applications, uses their own personal account. We do have some issues where our server does protect, as it should, our students' information that goes in and out of the district. And we've had some issues where it doesn't bounce back passwords and things like that. So please make sure they're using their own personal email address and that it's a very professional one. We've talked so much, and I'm going to give you the 5 things that you need to do, that students need to do before they come back. I want to make sure everybody knows the application is where everybody seems to have their anxiety go through the roof. I can be here to tell you the application is not what should go through the roof. You should, if you follow what we're doing, it's the visits, it's getting that list together, it's getting organized, it's taking that first round of SATs that we're going to go through. The actual application, we asked a couple seniors, if you sat down and do the Common App, except for the essay, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, how long did that Common App take you? 3-4 hours. So wait a minute. I could do this in a Saturday afternoon. It's not the actual application that takes them time. It takes them time to do an essay, which we've got a plan for, and it takes them time to get all of this organized leading up to it. What I wanted to know, parents know, we didn't get into this at all with the kids today because we want to say that we will have all the kids come down in the computer lab, do the same thing we did, talk all about the application in the fall. We'll then meet with them individually, make sure they're on track. But just so parents know, in the fall, the students will be completing either the Common App or the college's own college application. And as Lauren showed you, there's some information on Naviance that helps you get organized. It tells you, does this college offer early decision or early action? Early decision is a binding agreement. That means you can apply to one-on-one only school. Early decision, if that school accepts you, you have to go there. So, word to the wise, talk to the financial aid people or make sure that your checkbook is ready and willing to support the finances. Again, please don't worry about remembering everything. In this beautiful brochure is all the information specifically about early decision, early action, so the kids have, had another copy. Early action is just an action. So you see early action, I'm saying, yeah, let's show them some demonstrated interest. Let's get those applications out. They have plenty of time in the fall to complete the application. It's everything leading up to. Rolling admissions just means as they roll in, they will be reviewed. We know, and there's only 15 across the country, but the earliest deadline that colleges are even looking at applications is October the 15th, okay? So we have all of our presentations end of September. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the essay. That's going to be tailored up by those English teachers in the fall. So they're all ready to go for the application. We're going to have everybody's final, official rank and GPA transcripts ready by the middle of September. So we'll be ready to go in plenty of time, even for those very few schools that offer October 15th. The most common deadline that we see is November 1st, which we're going to be way ahead for that. Regular decision means that they'll pick a date, say it's December 15th, and they'll wait till all those applications get there and then review them. If your son or daughter has an early action deadline and it's November 15th, They do not need it in by September 1st. I guarantee you those admissions are not looking at them. They won't. They wait till everything's in on November 15th. Don't wait till the last minute because it'll spin on the computer. But it's not going to be looked at until that deadline date. So that's why we plan little bits and pieces along the way. The one thing we did want to let you know is if you do have an October 15th deadline, please let your counselor know. We get you in really early, make sure that everything's all settled. Okay? Application support. We have been going back and forth. We obviously have the computer labs where we're going to talk in large groups. We have the individual. We started thinking a couple of years back, wow, you know, a lot of kids just need to drop in, ask us a couple of questions. So what we do is starting at the end of September, we open our office up. Every Monday and Wednesday during lunch periods, they just come in. We have 5 computers, they can come in and ask questions. It'll be manned by at least 2 counselors. So that way they don't have to worry about the appointment and the pass and coming down and all that extra work. They can just pop in, ask their question during lunch periods Monday and Wednesday, and there'll be 2 counselors there. College essay assistants. I have to say that might be the one piece that gives the kids a little bit of time that they need to do. So what we've done is we've partnered, and the English department is amazing, partnered with the English department, and we are going to ask all of our seniors to come back in September with a rough draft of your college essay. If you're not applying to a 4-year school, it will be a personal essay. And again, in the beautiful brochure, we have all the essay topics. We have information about how to approach your college essay. It does not matter what English 12 class your son or daughter signed up for. Doesn't matter what they signed up for. In the fall, all the English teachers, for their first assignment, will be working on editing that college essay. So that way, the essay's done. I told you the application doesn't take that long. We're really good to go. As you heard, it's the lead up that we want to spend some time on. It's like buying the car. You want to sit in and test drive and make sure this is the one that you really want. List of them. Okay? One of the things I think that we resonate in our office, that we get back in the fall, and I think one of the things I cannot say enough is the visit, is the demonstrated interest. I know Lauren went through it. I cannot say enough. Please get out and visit. Go locally just to get the ball rolling and see how it feels. If you do the 5 things, you want to register a tour. Can I see myself on the campus? If you do these 5 things, this is all we want your son or daughter to do before they get back in September. You do those visits. Or if the school is the University of Nebraska, that you've done at least a lot of research online just to make sure. Every application costs $60, so this process is not cheap. That they've taken their first round of SAT and ACT. That if they're applying to a 4-year school, they've approached 1 teacher. They got that junior, they got your rec star, got my junior autobiography, my resume done. Rough draft of my essay, and they have that listing colleges I'm thinking about. Then we roll into the fall. That is amazing. That's all that we need them to do. They get those little bits and pieces done. And just to help them out, on page 1 of the beautiful brochure is a planning calendar. So we have paced them out. If they follow the pacing calendar, it makes it awesome. It makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable. The procrastinators, we've been trying to, preach. If you are a procrastinator, pick another thing that you want to procrastinate about, doing your parents' chores, but not a college application, because this makes it fun. If they take those 5 things, which many of them do, take those 5 or 3 of those 5, and they try to jam it into the fall on top of the application, on top of their course load, on top of them being wonderful kids and all the other things that they do, then it becomes a little daunting for them. If they spread it out like this, it becomes a wonderful process. It is the next 4 years, or 2 years, or 2 + 2, and getting all that information. Ask the tour guide, where else did you apply and why did you pick here? They were in your kids' shoes a year or 2 ago. Get that information. Again, we will talk about the application in the fall. This is really absolutely so important as your guide. All of what we talked about tonight, all of what we talked about with the students. What we're going to do now, and if you feel like you don't have any questions, it's not rude if you gotta get up. I know everybody's back is sort of shoveling. So we thank you for coming out this evening. I know that we can only say, if you need help from us, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to help. We'd be more than happy to stick around. I'm going to walk around, and we will answer any questions for the next half hour or so if people want to stay. If not, just so you know, thank you, Ms. DiFiastiani. Kelly has taped us, so we will be on the website for this presentation, so you can all watch us again. Sequel. And we will put this PowerPoint up on our website, so you have all of this information as well. Thank you.